when I was at UT, I started thinking about how I got to the point where I was at. And I remembered that Marwen was a big part of how I got there. And so I started thinking, how can I return the favor, basically, to what Marwen gave me, which was an introduction to art, but also that it was a viable option for me to do something with my life. And I started looking around Austin. There wasn't really anything geared towards teens, and I felt like that was such a great opportunity, missed opportunity that, the teens, when you're a teenager, there's just so much going on internally, and that there just needs to be an outlet, and not everyone is reached or engaged through sports or through academics. And I feel like art has this great potential to fill that void there. And then just one day I went to one of the art events at Art House, and I introduced myself to the education coordinator, and I was like, hey, I'm really interested in working with the community in terms of art classes, and I like what you're doing here in terms of this workshop. I was invited to exhibit in a show called Young Latino Artists. And so like a couple months later, Catherine O'Neill asked me to do an artist talk for my work in the show. And she brought this group of kids, which were the young artists at our house. And I guess I impressed somebody, because I got invited. The previous portfolio advisor, Eduardo Munoz, he got provided a residency in San Antonio, and so they needed someone to replace him, and they invited me. When I started, I was writing a lot of art reviews for the local weekly paper. I was networking a lot, so I was meeting a lot of artists, and so I'm able to set up these studio visits and gallery visits and workshops. I can take the students out to the artists, and I can bring artists into Art House for the students. Throughout the semester, we would ask them to bring in work, and we would photograph it. And then there would be a volunteer or something that works during the week at Art House that would catalog them and put them in the right folders. And eventually, we would have this portfolio for them. It's for their use. It's so that they have something ready to provide for college applications or any other program that they might be applying to. So they have a portfolio ready. Here's what I've made. They can edit, take in or take out works that they think might suit better for whatever they're applying for. And so I just share with them my knowledge in terms of actual skills and knowledge of the art world. Yeah, so I started mining this more religious imagery, and also thinking in terms of art historical sense, the Renaissance and Baroque. So that's why I started mining St. Christopher and Atlas at the same time. Actually, when Lily was born, she was like she put so much stress on me in terms of being, just father things. It was just this idea of like, man, I've got a lot of responsibility. Like she stressed my situation to the point where I was like, the drawing was my outlet. And actually I started drawing it. I started drawing images of Atlas. I was looking for something to make it biblical. And I found St. Christopher. Christopher means Christ bearer. And there's this story where he worked basically as a ferry. He would help people cross this creek or this river. And then one day, baby Jesus shows up and he's like, hey, can you help me cross? He's like, yeah, sure, no problem, here, little baby. Puts him on his shoulder, and and of course when he gets to the other side, Jesus reveals himself, full grown. He's like, you just carried me across, or whatever. I can't really say that I'm influencing them in terms of what I make. I do feel I do have an influence on them in terms of the way I think. About art and approach art.